This is my design. She's paralyzed before it leaves her body, which doesn't mean she can't feel pain. Just means she can't do anything about it. This is my design.
This was recorded as a false alarm. It was a false alarm last week.
And this is when it gets truly horrifying for Mrs. Marlowe. It's not social. My horse is hitched to a post that is closer to Asperger's and autistics than narcissists and sociopaths. 1 through 7 are dead, don't you think? He's not keeping them around. He got himself a new one. Well, it's not about all of these girls. It's about one of them. The specific way, I think. That may require me to be sociable. How's the cat? Must have been hungry, didn't eat all weekend. Took her from here. And she got on a train. She came home. She fed the cat. And he took her. Can I see your daughter's room? Put your hands in your pockets and avoid touching anything. You can hold the cat if it's easier. I'm a special investigator. Strict screening procedures. Antler velvet is rich in nutrients. It actually promotes healing. He may have put it there on purpose. Whatever he did to the others, he couldn't do it to her. No. This is an apology. Does anyone have any aspirin? Winston, this is everybody. Everybody, this is Winston. That's right. He knows he's gonna get caught. One way or the other. We should be looking at plumbers, steam fitters, tool workers. She was mounted on them. Like hooks. She may have been bled. There's something wrong with the meat. Yeah, he's eating them. Tasteless. Your eyes are distracting. You see too much, you don't see enough. And it's hard to focus when you're thinking, oh, those whites are really white, or he must have hepatitis, or oh, is that a burst vein? So, yeah, I try to avoid eyes whenever possible. Jack, whose profile are you working on? Please, don't psychoanalyze me. You won't like me when I'm psychoanalyzed. He wanted her found this way. Whoever tucked Elise Nichols into bed didn't paint this picture. Our cannibal loves women. Where's Crawford? That's delicious, thank you. Just keep it professional. I don't find you that interesting. He has a few. No. You're lucky we're not doing house-to-house interviews. We found a little piece of metal in Elise Nichols' clothes, a shred from a pipe threader. So we're checking all the construction sites that use that kind of pipe. At this stage, anything really, but mostly anything peculiar. Left a phone number, no address. The others all left addresses. He also missed work for days at a time. Yeah, well, he was eating them. Not necessarily. Someone he hunted with? Abigail Hobbs is a suspect. Someone else was here. He's already got one admirer. A copycat. Are we starting now? Or because I know all the tricks? What's that? Last time he sent me into a dark place, I brought something back. You were there, you saved her life too. Do you feel obligated? Jack thinks Abigail Hobbs helped her dad kill those girls. How's it make you feel? That would have been funny. Wanted to keep his crop undisturbed. No, he's not. I don't need him to. This is my design. This may have been premature. Hobbs. A hallucination. I saw him lying there in someone else's grave. I don't consider Hobbs my victim. Maybe he admires their ability to connect the way human minds can't. What were they soaked in? What are you reading? Could be reading to a killer. Yeah, that. Did Jack send you? I don't think we've ever been alone in a room together, have we? No, we can talk about or not talk about whatever you want. Actually, I was just enjoying listening to you read. She doesn't look like a success. I don't feel sorry for myself at all. I feel, I feel, good. I didn't see Hobbs. Killing Hobbs felt just. I didn't feel a sprig of zest when I shot Eldon Stamets. I thought about it. I'm still not entirely sure that wasn't my intention, pulling the trigger. I should have stuck to fixing boat motors in Louisiana. I liked killing Hobbs. Did God feel good about that? And you don't. I like you as a buffer. I also like the fact that you rattle Jack. He respects you far too much to yell at you, no matter how much he wants to. Abigail Hobbs doesn't have anyone say it the insulting way. I'm not collecting another stray, much less the guy who killed Dad. Jack's wrong about Abigail. Do you excuse us, please? Special Agent Will Graham. Abigail. This is Dr. Lecter. Do you remember us? I'm sorry we couldn't save your mother. We did everything we could, but she was already gone. There was plenty wrong with your father, Abigail, but there's nothing wrong with you. You say he was loving? I believe it. That's what you brought out in him. There's no such thing as getting used to what you experienced. It bothers me a lot. I worry about nightmares, too. It's the ugliest thing in the world. You told her I was insane. Miss Lowndes, it's not very smart to piss off a guy who thinks about killing people for a living. That could just mean she has a dissociative disorder. They only do that if you're still alive and taken to the hospital before they finish the crime scene. Yes, too often. And people like your dad. Feels like I'm talking to his shadow suspended on dust. Did you recognize his voice? Abigail, he may have been contacted by another killer. Copycat. No one else ever came here with your dad. Except you. Do you think she knew the guy down by the street? Not somebody. Abigail said he asked if she helped her dad take his sister's lungs while she was alive. Cassie Boyle had a brother, Nicholas. But Garrett Jacob Hobbs didn't kill Cassie Boyle. Yeah, scraped his knuckle on her teeth. There's foreign tissue and what could be trace amounts of blood. I may have been wrong about that. No, she said she didn't know them. Whoever killed the girl on the field killed this girl. I'm right about that. He knew exactly how to mount the body. Humiliation. Sometimes At night, I leave the lights on in my little house and walk across the flat fields. And when I look back from a distance, the house is like a boat on the sea. It's really the only time I feel safe. I tried so hard to know Garrett Jacob Hobbs, to see him with noise and clarity. Past the slides and vials, beyond the lines of the police reports, between the pixels of all those printed faces of sad dead girls. Guilty. Because I felt like I killed her. I got so close to him. Sometimes I felt like we were doing the same things at different times of day, like I was eating or showering or sleeping at the same time he was. Yeah, even after he was dead. I know who I am. I'm not Garrett Jacob Hobbs, Dr. Lecter. Table has been set. Family dinner. I wasn't invited. I take my seat at the head of the table. My seat, my place setting, next to Mrs. Turner. I am the guest of honor. Nobody's taken a bite of their dinner. If you don't eat your growing foods, you won't get any dessert. All afraid to move. Even the little ones behave themselves. I brought my own family to this home invasion, controlling the Turners with threats of violence. Threats that turn to action. The Turner family is executed simultaneously, with the exception of Mrs. Turner, who dies last. This is my design. I shoot Mrs. Turner. Family values. False faces in family portraits. Layers and layers of lies betrayed by a sad glint in a child's eyes. When was Jesse abducted? Why'd you say that? There's forgiveness. A mother. Low-hanging fruit. So is my mother. Never knew her. You have orphan in common with Abigail Hobbs. Something so foreign about family. Like an ill-fitting suit. I never connected to the concept. And thank you for feeding them while I was away. Oh, they lived like they had money, and we were poor. I followed my father from the boat yards of Biloxi and Greenville to lake boats on Erie. Always. Motherhood. Another kid. How many kids in the Frist family? You're expecting a crime scene. Both these kids are small, underweight for their age. Thinking possible ADHD diagnoses for both boys. Ritalin, Focalin, any medication containing methylphenidate can affect appetite and slow long-term growth in kids. There's Willard Wiggin. 13-year-old milk carton material. Thought better of it. I wasn't thinking straight. I was upset when I bought it. Maybe still am. Magnifying glass. Fly tying gear. Yeah. We call them the Lost Boys. Other patterns, too. Our shooters are minors, middle children from traditional affluent families. There's a pattern. Less to do with geography than psychology. And what kind of kid follows a kid who does this? No. Capture bonding. It's a passive psychological response to a new master. It's been an essential survival tool for 1 million years. You bond with your captor, you survive. You don't, you're breakfast. Kristen. Please. No. Yes.
Not excessively. I had 2 fingers of whiskey before I went to bed. I'm not even sure if I'm awake now.
I can handle it. So I can't handle it. You'd say that's a loss of control. You said Jack sees me as fine china used for special guests. Beginning to feel more like an old mug. Okay, I'm awake. And pagans mocking the God-fearing? No, he isn't mocking them. He's transforming them. Madness slept here last night. Not nervous. Righteous. He thinks he's elevating them somehow. I need a plastic sheet for the bed. This is not who you are. This is my gift to you. I allow you to become angels. Now, I lay me down to sleep. They weren't praying to him. They were praying for him. He's afraid. He's afraid of dying in his sleep. He's making angels to watch over him. Maybe I was wrong. How do you profile someone who has an anomaly in their head changing the way they think? He feels abandoned. Abandonment requires expectation. Jack hasn't abandoned me. You trying to alienate me from Jack Crawford? Well, help me understand how to catch him. Do I seem different? How would I know if something was up with you? I wonder how long it took Angel Maker to identify them. He didn't choose them randomly. Well, vigilantes are pragmatic. In his mind, he was doing God's work. Well, playing a god has other advantages. One of them is always being alone. Doesn't have to know. All he has to do is believe. I dream more now than I used to. He doesn't see people how everyone else sees them. He can tell if you're naughty or nice, or he thinks he can. God didn't give him insight. God gave him a tumor. He's just a man whose brain is playing tricks on him. My brain is playing tricks on me? I've tried to reconstruct his thinking, find his patterns. What is it? Did you just smell me? Oh, I keep getting it for Christmas. Was he ever violent, Mrs. Budish? And did your husband's faith falter after he was told about the cancer? Where did this happen? This will be the last one. He made himself into an angel. I don't know how much longer I can be all that useful to you, Jack. Seems like that's exactly what you're gonna do. Maybe. Then maybe I found a job as a diesel mechanic in a boatyard. What do you see? Not all the way out. I'm gonna sit here until you're ready to talk. You don't have to say a word until you're ready, but I'm not going anywhere until you do. Why was a nurse left alone with a prisoner in a high-security psychiatric hospital? As far as we know, it's been over 2 years since the Chesapeake Ripper killed. When was Gideon admitted? Certainly what somebody needs. I see the Ripper, but I don't feel the Ripper. This is plagiarism. I was thinking about something else. Push him toward what? Well, to what purpose, Jack? I don't see what you're asking. What He's already focused on Gideon as his adversary. Don't fool around. Are you thinking about getting into bed with Freddie Lowndes?
Criminal justice journalism being a euphemism for tabloid reporting.
What's against you, and by association us, is that your brand of journalism is obnoxious and therefore disliked. Jack, did Miriam last know where you lived? She could have told the Chesapeake Ripper before he killed her. Did you know you were sending her after him? Whoever made that call thinks you were close to Miriam Lass and feel responsible for her death.
Sounds more like an urban legend than the Chesapeake Ripper, no?
Fresh? Fresh as a daisy?
Oh, you don't want me in a classroom. You want me to wrap my head so tight around the Ripper I won't go back to class until he's caught. You're expecting another couple of bodies after this one?
Don't let the Ripper stir you up. The reason he left you Miriam Lass's arm is so he could poke you with it. His other victims, he wanted to humiliate in death, like a public dissection. She was different. The Ripper contacted you directly. If he was killing again, he wouldn't be subtle about it. He would just pick up the phone. Any more phone calls, Jack?
It's not the Ripper.
There aren't enough.
The Ripper left his victim in a church pew using his tongue as a page marker in the Bible he was holding. This isn't that. This is a medical student or a trainee or someone trying to make an extra buck in a back alley surgery, and it went bad. And actively bad. You'll catch the Ripper. Eventually. I see him as one of those pitiful things, sometimes born in hospitals. They feed it, keep it warm, but they don't put it on the machines. They let it die. But he doesn't die. He looks normal. Nobody can tell what he is.
Yes, I think is the answer to that.
The careful surgical removal and preservation of vital organs. Organ harvesters? It's an interesting theory. The Ripper wasn't painting a picture in the hotel, someone else was. The Chesapeake Ripper wants to perform. But every brutal choice has elegance, grace. His mutilations hide the true nature of his crimes.
What time is it? Oh, God, I'm sorry. I must have fallen asleep. Was I sleepwalking? I felt as if I was asleep. I need to stop sleeping altogether. Best way to avoid bad dreams. What do you see, Doctor? They're pack hunters. These aren't the Ripper's enemies. These are pests he's swatted. Well, he doesn't have a problem with cruelty. The reward is for undignified behavior. These dissections are to disgrace them. It's a public shaming. It's Jack Crawford's trainee. She's not like the other victims. The Ripper had no reason to humiliate Miriam Lass. He was humiliating Jack. I'd say it worked really well. His killer brought him here to put on a show. I open his throat from the outside to access the trachea and expose the vocal cords. I open his throat from the inside using the neck of a cello. Powder on the wound. Rosin from a bow. I wanted to play him. I wanted to create a sound. My sound.
This is my design. Made them easier to play. To open you up to get a decent sound out of you. This takes a steady hand. He's killed before. No, not like this. This is a skilled musician trying a new instrument. This murder was a performance, sometimes not worth hearing again. Yes. I hear what he was playing behind my eyes when I close them. I see myself. Now, this isn't how he kills. Normally, he doesn't kill for an audience. I believe he wants to show someone how well he plays.
This might have been a raccoon. By the time I knocked a hole in the chimney, it climbed out the top. What are you doing out? And now you're making house calls. No, I'm not.
You have to stop thinking so much. Intimate.
I am not your patient.
There was no animal in the chimney. It was only in my head. I sleepwalk. I get headaches. I am hearing things. I feel unstable. Unfortunately, I am good for it. Sure. That's right, did you know? That's why we're here, Mr. Budge. Why'd you say try? Anybody leap to mind?
More authentic.
I need ERT, Cordophone Strings, downtown Baltimore. Officer down.
Your patient, is that who Budge was serenading? Could Franklin have been involved in whatever Budge was doing? I feel like I've dragged you into my world. These graves weren't desecrated, Jack. They were exposed. This is my resume. This is my body of work. This is my legacy. I saved lives. Generally speaking, yeah. There was something wrong with me. I've been sleepwalking. I'm experiencing hallucinations. Maybe I should get a brain scan. It was a totem pole of bodies. No, this isn't shame. This is celebration. He's marking his achievements. Yes. I'm sorry about yesterday. I wasn't feeling like myself. So I seemed fine to you? No. I guess I just got a little lost yesterday is all. So it got to me. All those bodies got to me. And thought it was a little more obvious than it was. Everything's fine. Yeah, he was special to him somehow. He held a place of honor. They're all murders. No, it's okay, it's okay. Oh, that's me all over. Come on in. Promise I won't try to kiss you again. Unless you stop taking your own advice. Regretted. Implying that you're no longer regretting. Or are you still in a state of regret? What side of the line you on now? I won't lie if you don't. Why? Why? And it is not because you have a professional curiosity about me. Thank you for not lying. Things are changing for me, too. I've been doing some accounting of what's important in my life and what isn't.
You are important, Abigail. You have nothing to apologize for.
So our guy got away with it 40 years ago. You can't think that she has something to do with this. Fletcher Marshall was a crime of passion. It had something that none of the other murders had. So you killed Joel Summers just so you'd be caught. Well, that's one way to be remembered.
Maybe she saw what's in your heart.
Abigail Hobbs killed Nick Boyle. Tell me why you know? Evidently, not well enough. Because I was hoping it wasn't true.
Insinuation is such a gray area.
See that you do. I can feel my nerves clicking like roller coaster cogs, pulling up to the inevitable long plunge, like a burst balloon. She took a life. Yeah. Yeah, so have you. We lied for her. Isn't that what it is to be alive? I feel like I'm fading. It's 7:16 p.m. I'm in Baltimore, Maryland. My name is Will Graham. I can manage this one. I just got disoriented. I can go back in. I thought I was responsible for it. I got lost in the reconstruction. Just for a second, just a blink. Officially. Do you have anyone that does this better unbroken than I do broken? Sorry. Like he was removing a mask. It wasn't savage, it was lonely. It was desperate, sad. I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror, and I looked right through me, past me, as if I was just a stranger. If by limitations you mean the difference between sanity and insanity, I don't accept that. I know what kind of crazy I am, and this isn't that kind of crazy. This could be seizures. This could be a tumor. A blood clot. 2 to 3 months ago. I can't really say when they started. I just slowly became aware that I might not be dreaming. So what I'm experiencing is psychological. It's 10:36. I'm in Greenwood, Delaware. My name is Will Graham. I called you because I'm not entirely sure what I saw was real. I grabbed her arm, and an entire layer of dead skin separated from the underlying tissue, like she was wearing a glove. Right, there's no circulation, there's nothing alive in the tissue to bind it. I don't know. She was deranged. She can't see faces. If she did kill Beth LeBeau, she might not even know she did it. To convince herself she didn't. If I wasn't clear on that issue, I know I didn't kill Beth LeBeau. I just want to know who did. Oh yeah, what are they speculating? This killer can't accept her reality. I can occasionally identify with that. That said, I feel relatively sane. It's 7:05 p.m. I'm in Baltimore, Maryland. My name is Will Graham. I feel like I'm seeing a ghost. Both? Time did. There are no particulars. He didn't find anything wrong. You wouldn't publish anything about me, would you, Dr. Lecter? Just do me a favor and publish it posthumously. Whichever comes first. You talking about the killer or me?
Well, of course.
She couldn't see the victim's face, or she was trying to uncover it. So she reached out to someone she loved, someone she trusted. She felt betrayed, became violent. You thought she might be dead.
No one's doubting your dedication to your daughter, Mrs. Manchin.
What sort of symptoms did she have? What did her doctor say?
You still don't know? You're managing your expectations. You didn't kill Miriam Lass, the Chesapeake Ripper did. Oh, she was a student. I'm a teacher. Dr. Sutcliffe? I don't feel clean. Maybe that hadn't occurred to her in a while. I see you, Georgia. Think of who you are. It's midnight. You're in Wolf Trap, Virginia. Your name is Georgia Madgen. You're not alone. We are here together. All I need is one hand free.
Abel Gideon is having a difference of opinion about who he is. The man who escaped from that van was not in the same state of mind when he did this.
Chesapeake Ripper would not have left the organs behind. Did you help him understand? Gideon is not the Chesapeake Ripper, although he might have thought he was under your care, Doctor.
Thicket of antlers. All I heard was my heart. Dim, but fast. Like footsteps fleeing into silence. I just feel like somebody else. I feel crazy. I fear not knowing who I am. He's like a blind man. Somebody got inside his head and moved all the furniture around.
You won't find anything. Whatever's going on with Gideon, it's in his head. It's what they did to him. Dr. Chilton, every psychiatrist and PhD candidate who attempted any kind of therapy, pushed him, prodded, gave him tests, told him who he was, who he wasn't. Alana Bloom will be on that list. You'll have a real FBI agent, not a teacher with a temporary badge. You don't need protective custody to cozy up with my dogs. Or me, for that matter. I just need a little more, stability on my part. Yeah, I tend to run hot. Whatever happens to him has nothing to do with you. Or like, Chilton telling him he's the Chesapeake Ripper. Well, he's gonna want somebody to tell him who he is, and I think he'll be looking for the Ripper to do that. Chesapeake Ripper will kill him. He took credit for his work. The Ripper would consider that rude. Let's hope he got some satisfaction from being proved right. He is applying his own skill set. He gave you something better to do with your tongue than wag it. This is like flowers and chocolate before a first date. He has Freddie Lowndes. Gideon wants to lure the Ripper. He's going to offer up the man who disrespected both their identities. Abel Gideon didn't kill this man. The Chesapeake Ripper did. But Gideon isn't alone anymore, and the Ripper isn't going to risk exposure. So no, he's telling us where to catch him. Actually, he's telling you. Where's the last place you saw a severed arm, Jack? That's probably best. I feel like hell. Actually, no, I feel fluid. Like I'm spilling. Must have come down with something. I hope it's not contagious. Build my resistance. It's hard to shake off something that's already under your skin. Turn around, don't look at me. My name is Will Graham.
have can recover with shock treatment. You know what you did, Georgia. You dream about killing anybody else.
Not just the fever. I'm trying to find out what else.
I do too.
You made me chicken soup. It smells delicious.
I was awake and wandering with purpose and good intentions. She's my support group. The hallucinations, the loss of time, sleepwalking, could that have all just been the fever?
I don't think she wants to recover. She's afraid to remember what she did.
Horrible way to die. Because I know how she felt. Suicide by immolation?
She wasn't suicidal, Jack. She was sick. I was here. I spoke to her.
Well, the case against her doesn't really matter anymore, does it, Jack?
By whoever killed Dr. Sutcliffe. So was George Imagine. Because he thinks she saw his face. Well, then he isn't the copycat.
Like you didn't do anything wrong.
I felt terrified. And then I felt powerful.
Oh, I don't think either of us have gotten away from your father.
Making you what, Abigail?
In a way, he is. I think I can catch him, but I'm gonna need your help.
I'm much better now.
I feel clearer. It had to be the fever.
I am finally thinking clearly about the copycat.
So what? Both of those suspects are dead.
Or maybe he didn't have the time. You know, she was an unreliable witness. Just that bought him time. He wasn't planning on framing her. He was planning on framing me. If it wasn't before, it is now. This could be someone at the Bureau, someone in the police department, someone who knows the crimes and has access to the investigations. There will be evidence. I found a pattern, and now I'm going to reconstruct his thinking by taking Abigail back to Minnesota. Start where the copycat started, when he called Garrett Jacob Hobbs.
I feel fine. I could take you, if you want to go.
The copycat knew your father well enough to know about this place. I wanted to understand him. I felt like I had to understand him. I fish. Were you more fisherman or hunter?
No, that's not what I'm asking.
All those girls your dad killed. Did you fish? Or did you hunt, Abigail?
I'm sorry. Where are we? I went to Minnesota. I took Abigail. We went to Minnesota. She didn't come back with me.
I don't remember going to bed last night. I must have. Maybe I got up to let the dogs out, and then
It was yesterday. At her father's cabin. I had an episode. She said something was wrong with me. She was afraid of me. And she ran away. I hallucinated that I killed her. But it wasn't real. I know it wasn't real. I don't know. Not with any certainty, no. Not anymore. I thought I would get evidence. I killed Abigail.
Hi. You're flushed. You been yelling? I could use a good scream. I can feel one perched under my chin. I'm afraid that if I started, I wouldn't be able to stop. I'm surprised Jack let you in here, given my romantic overtures. Guess you dodged a bullet with me. Whenever it could be a long time from now. Thank you. I suppose you're going to ask me to draw a clock while you're at it. Said it was an exercise to ground me in the present moment. A handle to help me hold on to reality. Would I be here if it wasn't? See, it's just a normal clock. Telling the time isn't my problem.
I wasn't consistent with taking my antibiotics. The fever came back.
And then what? Baltimore State Hospital for the criminally insane? Have children fumbling around in my head. I can't confess to something I don't remember.
Yeah, I should hope so. They were on my desk right by the front door. No, I wasn't. I wasn't sick when Cassie Boyle was murdered. I wasn't sick when Marissa Shore was murdered. Because then I'd be a psychopath. You don't have to be afraid of that, Jack. There is something you should be afraid of, though. Whoever's doing this to me, they'll be close to you. Could be someone here, working with you. They know the cases. They know forensics. They know that I'm unstable. Or it could just be you.
Then I'd be really screwed, wouldn't I?
Self-aware. She's confused about who I am. Which I can relate to. Are you confused about who I am? Do you believe I killed Abigail? If it was just Abigail, I would have believed. I would have believed that I got so far inside Hobbs's head I couldn't get out. I know who I am. I didn't kill any of them. And somebody is making sure that no one believes me.
Told me everything I needed to know to catch Garrett Jacob Hobbs. I wasn't in Minnesota when Cassie Boyle was murdered. I know I didn't kill her. How could I resist? Then take me to Minnesota. I want to see where Abigail died.
Hello? Are we going to reenact the crime? Her throat was cut. She lost great gouts of blood. There's an unmistakable arterial spray. Just the one piece. Because I honored every part of her. I stared at Hobbs. And the space opposite me assumed the shape of a man filled with dark and swarming flies. And then I scattered them. I'm as alone as you are. I know who I am. I'm not so sure I know who you are anymore. But I am certain one of us killed Abigail. I am who I've always been. Scales have just fallen from my eyes. killed here that morning. Abigail knew. And you kept her secrets. Until what? Until she found out some of yours? Oh, Garrett Jacob Hobbs was a murderer. Are you a murderer, Dr. Lecter? You have no